So, welcome to this practice. This is Blakey Sahai. I'm an occupational therapist and a mindfulness-based facilitator with the Center for Mindfulness Studies. And this practice I'm inviting you to explore is kind of called a supportive resourcing practice as a way we can start to cultivate more mindful awareness and care and attention for ourselves. And one way we can start, as we may kind of think about beginning to establish a mindfulness-based practice in our lives, or if we already have and are quite familiar with a mindfulness-based practice or other meditation practices, this type of a practice may also be considered kind of as a way we can start to really support ourselves even more with our practice by resourcing ourselves as a way we can work more skillfully when difficulty is present. And so this idea of resourcing comes from somatic experiencing. And it's really kind of to assist us learn how to really track and regulate the nervous system, potentially helping us to release tension patterns in the body and the mind, as well as trying to support greater inner balance and well-being for ourselves. And so this idea of starting to develop more resourcing for ourselves, it can take a bit of time, and it takes some attention as well as skillful effort to really start to discover and turn towards what we find supportive for ourselves. This term resource that is easily and readily available when we need it, or actually as a daily practice, something that we begin to really regularly incorporate into our daily lives. And so I think to first just kind of think about what is a resource. It's really something that you find supportive. And this could be something quite small, something that may offer a bit of ease for a few moments. And this idea of actually turning attention into the body, into the breath, and noticing what might be arising as we work with this particular resource. There might be a bit more of ease or settling in the body, perhaps. There might be a bit more fluidity to the breath, or even a bit of ease to the breath. And again, a resource, it might be a sight. It could be looking out a window in nature, or anything that's out the window that you might find kind of pleasant. It could be something in your immediate space. It could be an object. It might be a particular color that you find pleasing. It could even be a sound. You might very intentionally play a particular piece of music, or it might be the sound from nature, such as a bird. It could also be an area of the body that you find available and supportive to bring attention to. I know myself, sometimes I find support just by placing a hand on my belly and a hand gently onto my chest, just kind of underneath my collarbones there. And just as a way to just notice what starts to kind of unfold in the body. And again, this resource is really an invitation to invite a sense of well-being and safety inside, which might not immediately unfold. Again, this is considered a practice as well. So we're going to be moving into a practice in just a short moment as a way to kind of experience what it's like to begin to resource ourselves. And resources may not be permanent or static objects. They could change, they could shift. So it's an invitation to begin to explore a couple of resources for yourself in this practice. So let's start with this practice now. It's going to be just around 10 minutes, if that helps you kind of just settle a bit more with what to expect from the practice. And the invitation is to find a way now to really allow the body to feel a sense of ease and to feel support from the ground or from other materials. So you may want to just turn attention for a few moments here to noticing the body and what might be needed. It might be making this decision for yourself to perhaps lay down. Maybe you want to even choose to bring a blanket on top of yourself or a pillow behind the head. Or you may choose to actually sit comfortably on a chair or on a cushion. Again, finding a way that the body can really feel a bit of ease and settling. Or you may even choose to stand, and finding a way for the body to really find support in a standing position. Or in this moment, you may actually choose that what is supportive is to move the body in a particular way that feels available to you. It could be swaying, it might even be walking slowly in your space or outside as you're listening to this recording. So just taking these few moments now to settle into a comfortable position, or as comfortable as it can be for you in this moment. And beginning to become aware of where you are at in your space. Maybe you're even outside listening to this recording, but taking the time now to really allow your sense of sight to just move around and really start to notice objects, things in the space. You might start to notice shapes and colors. Really allowing the sense of sight to explore everything around you. You may want to also look behind you, below you, even above you. In this way, we're just orienting ourselves to where we are in our environment right now, in our space. Even though it could be a very familiar space to you, we can still just provide this additional checking in and orienting ourselves to where we're at in this moment physically. And now perhaps continuing to look around your space and not trying to seek too tightly, but just starting to explore and see if there's anything in the space that you're in that you find kind of pleasing. There might be a sense of a bit of subtle joy in looking at. It might be a plant, a picture, a particular object. You might even choose to look out a window and find something that you find kind of pleasing. And as you start to choose this particular object that you find maybe a bit of subtle joy with, or a bit of pleasantness, maybe it's even just a color that's drawn you in on a particular object. Beginning to just turn inside to see and notice what is happening in the body. What might be happening with the breath, if anything. In this way, we're just kind of turning inside to notice what's unfolding in the nervous system as we come into contact with our sense of sight, with something that is pleasant. And really noticing how the nervous system is responding to something that is a visual resource. And And seeing if it might be available and supportive now to move attention inwards a bit more. This might involve taking some time to gently adjust the position of our body to provide a bit more ease and settling. Becoming more aware of the body and space. Coming to really know the outline of the body. The weight of the body. Areas where there's a felt sense of the body coming in contact with the ground or other supportive materials that you might be on right now. And just dropping in and checking with how your whole body is responding to this potentially slower way of connecting into the body. Perhaps noticing any softening or settling happening inside you. And sometimes as we bring attention a bit more inwards, such as this invitation to turn to the body, we may notice activation or that it's actually quite challenging to do. And so we work with this as best as we can in a supportive, kind way by perhaps turning attention outwards again, returning back to that external resourcing object, or maybe even looking around the space, the environment you're in, and landing the sense of sight on something else. In this way, we can move in and out of what is present as a way of bringing kindness and support to this present moment experience. And if you'd like, you may even want to move attention onto the hands or onto the feet. And noticing the position of the hands or feet. The position, whether in contact with one another. Any sensations such as warmth or coolness. Bringing attention to sensations both on the surface of the skin and deeper within the hands or the feet, whichever you have chosen to bring attention to. And choosing to really kind of hold and rest attention lightly here. Or perhaps moving attention back to the whole body. Just noticing this felt sense of the body again. And if it feels available and you'd like to, you may even choose to find a resource within the body. That could be actually very intentionally placing a hand on a particular part of the body that feels okay or available. Could be bringing your hands to rest gently on the lap and noticing sensations here. Or it could be bringing the hands to the elbows, making gentle, light contact. And just noticing what may be unfolding in body and breath as you bring this additional resource to yourself now. Or Or it could be a completely other position that you decide to offer yourself support with. It could be a hand or hands on the heart center, a hand on the belly, maybe hands just gently resting on the shoulders or the sides of the neck, and noticing any sensations here of this light contact between the hands and a particular part of the body. And continuing to explore this resource. And choosing to continue the sense of touch of the hands on a part of the body, or perhaps releasing that, resting the arms and hands gently, any way that feels available to you. And if you'd like, perhaps turning attention to the breath. Resting attention on the breath, if that feels supportive for you. And if it doesn't, returning back to another resource. It could be again, a place in the body that's available, or it could be back to that external resource for yourself. So for these last few moments of our practice together, allowing attention to be a bit more expansive, allowing it to really notice the shape of the body now. Bringing attention back to the position of the body in space, whether laying down, seated, standing, or moving. And perhaps even taking a few moments to add on to this more open awareness, perhaps allowing the ears to open to any sounds arising in your space now. And if the eyes have been closed, or they've been just kind of softened on a particular area, inviting this gaze, this sense of sight, to again return back to just gently and slowly looking back in your space again. And as we begin to bring our practice together to a close, perhaps just taking a pause for a moment and just reflecting on what was experienced and noticed in this practice, this resourcing practice we just engaged in together. And perhaps from this practice, taking this intention into your day, into your week, to explore other resources and supports throughout your day as a way to kind of nourish ourselves and to support ourselves. Thank you so much for your practice.